wise man once said, "Be who you were created to be, and you'll set the world on fire." No entertainer personified this statement more definitively than the killer himself, Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee sure set the world of music on fire, and a few pianos along the way. He will forever be known as rock and roll's original bad boy. Always over the top, no one could rock him like the Killer. Known for his maniacal performances, he'd somehow send a piano bench flying through the air on a mission. That mission took him to places he never would have dreamed.
Here is the jolting, jamboree, and jumping Jerry Lee Lewis.
Jerry Lee Lewis was born to Elmo and Mamie Lewis in the Bayou country of Faraday, Louisiana on September 29, 1935. Having been brought up in a primarily poor region of the country, Jerry Lee's exposure to music in his early years was limited, mainly confined to the old-time gospel music that his family held fast to in the face of life's troubles and trials. Along with gospel music, he heard the occasional country or hillbilly music when WSM would air the Grand Ole Opry every Saturday night. Age, Jerry Lee knew music was his true calling in life, and he was determined to make it to the top like Elvis Presley had just done. He knew the man responsible for Presley's success was Sam Phillips, the owner of Sun Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. Jerry Lee knew that Phillips needed to hear what he had to offer, and he wasn't taking no for an answer. I probably should mention that there was another component to Jerry Lee's musical style, a secret ingredient, I guess you might say. The Killer had grown up deep in the American South, and ever since Jerry Lee could remember, he'd been sneaking off to hear the rhythm and blues acts who'd roll into Faraday to play down at the local juke joint, Haney's Big House. Jerry Lee's boogied-up version of that shakin' song took off like wildfire. Whole Lotta Shakin' was flying off the shelves so fast that Sam Phillips couldn't keep the record in stock. Even when the morality police of the day tried to ban radio stations from playing the sexually charged song that just made kids want to hear it all the more. By this time, people everywhere were talking about Jerry Lee. On concert bills across the country, no entertainer wanted to follow the Killer. He was killing it with so much fervor and intensity on stage that other acts simply refused to follow him in the lineup. Riding high off the success of two chart-smashing hits, Jerry Lee had secured his place in rock and roll history. However, one thing that wasn't secure was his personal life. When Jerry Lee first came to Memphis, he needed a place to stay. His bass player and first cousin J.W. Brown already lived in Memphis, along with his wife and adolescent daughter, Myra Gale. Since Jerry Lee didn't have two nickels to rub together, he eagerly accepted J.W.'s offer to let him stay at his place. And folks, that's where Jerry Lee started playing with real fire. Jerry Lee had a history of trouble with the opposite sex. By now, Jerry Lee had already been married twice, and he hadn't even divorced his first wife before marrying his second. He was 21 when he set his sights on young Myra. He snuck her across state lines to tie the knot, and once married, the couple agreed to keep their marriage a secret. Soon after, Jerry Lee set out for a tour in England, where things really got out of hand. Upon arrival, reporters started questioning the identity of this young lady in Jerry Lee's entourage. And once her identity was made known, they were far less than hospitable to the wild rock and roller. Amid crowds of boos and jeers, Jerry Lee's tour was promptly cut short. After only 3 performances, he was sent packing.
Jerry, what about this reception in London? Can you tell us about that?
Yes, sir. We had a very good reception, sir.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, we had a very nice time, and the people treated us real nice.
Well, the papers reported that you were greeted with silence over there and with catcalls from the audience. Is that right?
Well, I can't agree with them there, sir. Our audience was very nice and very good.
When were you married?
Pardon?
When were you married?
Well, we leave our personal questions out of this, sir.
All right. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Arriving back in the U.S., Jerry Lee found out that Americans weren't ready for a rock and roll star with a child bride either. Radio stations banned his music. He was branded a total outcast. Almost overnight, Jerry Lee went from making $10,000 to a mere $250 a night. This ordeal would cost him an entire decade of his career and his life. In the late 60s, after almost 10 years in exile, Jerry Lee successfully reinvented himself as a country music crooner, which reignited his career all over again. And even though he racked up quite a few chart-topping hits over the next 2 decades, he never lost sight of his early days as a rock and roll icon. As the years passed by, Jerry Lee began to know his share of heartache and pain. Through a myriad of scandals and abuses of all kinds, the killer started looking back over the road his life and his music had taken him down. He was the last of his kind, the last of those early rock and rollers. Jerry Lee had proven himself to be the last man standing.